Hello, what is up, everybody? It is us back again with Film Freakz. That's right, we're another episode. I believe this is episode number 6, that's a lot of movies. 6 movies to cover? I guess it's not a lot of movies. But anyways, we're here with another episode of Film Freakz. That is right. As you guys know, today is the fan-voted movie, which we'll go over in a little bit, of course. But just know if you suggested a movie, we appreciate you, and you will be put into the next round. Of course, all the rules and stuff we talked about in the last episode, so if you want to, you can check that out. Last episode was about Iron Man from 2008, if you want to check that out. Pretty good episode. Also, I'm going to just say this in general, we can suggest movies that fans suggest, so it's possible that your movie could get in sooner or later, depending on if one of us has it on their list, but we'll cross that road when we get to it. Alright, that's all the stuff I have to say pre-podcast. Let's go ahead and introduce ourselves. Me first. I am YemmytheFerret, a.k.a. Yemmy. I run podcasts and a Twitch channel. Next, who am I here with?
Hello, everyone. I am GreedyWaffle, a.k.a. Nick, and I am Yemmy's friend. I don't have anything else.
Hey, guys, it's Tay from Taymation Studios, and yeah, there you go.
And I am Coco, and I eat.
And today, as we announced in the last episode, we have a very special guest all the way from down under. That's right, it's the Aussie himself. Oi, governor. That's British. It's Kalas, a.k.a. JustKalas on Twitter. He's the one who actually suggested this movie today. Hello, Kalas.
Yes, hello. Thank you for having me on your show. It's very exciting to be here. Very happy.
Kalas, why don't you introduce yourself? What do you do? Who are you? And where you from?
Sure. My name is Kalas, a.k.a. Kalas. I am from Florida or Australia, depending on who you ask. And yeah, that's pretty much it. My blood type is O negative.
TMI.
Well,
I used to do some content creation, but right now I'm just a content consumer. And that's pretty much it.
Very good. Well, Kalas, you suggested today's video, so why don't you introduce the video for us, and also give us a little description of why you suggested it, and to start us off.
All right. Well, I suggested Mission Impossible. It is a action thriller from 1996, directed by Brian De Palma. It stars Tom Cruise, Jon Voight, John Reno, or is it Gene Reno? Ving Rhames, and that one guy from The Breakfast Club, Emilio Estevez. So the story is an American agent under false suspicion of disloyalty must discover and expose the real spy without the help of his organization. And that's pretty much it. So yeah, I wanted to suggest this movie because I was having a conversation with Yemmy, and he had told me that he has never seen it. And it is like one of my absolute favorite movies of all time.
Oh, so it's one of your favorite movies of all time. So is it better than all the other Mission Impossibles to you?
I wouldn't say that.
Oh, so there's one above it.
It's kind of hard. I've actually been on a binge lately, and I've been rewatching all of them recently, and it's kind of hard. I mean, for me, like, it holds a lot of nostalgia because I watched it when I was very young, and it made like a huge impression on me. So it's always going to have a special place in my heart.
Yeah, as I was saying to you when we were originally talking about it, I only saw Mission Impossible Fallout when it came to Hulu. And I don't know about everyone else here. How many Mission Impossibles have you guys seen?
I have not seen any.
I think I've seen all of them but the latest one, which might be Fallout. Is Fallout the latest one?
Yeah, Fallout's the latest one.
Yep.
Yeah, I found Fallout really entertaining. I really enjoyed it. And even though I didn't connect with any of the characters because I had no clue who they were really, except for it's Tom Cruise, everyone, I really enjoyed it. So I'm glad that Kalas won the fan vote because I really wanted to go back and see how everything started. And seeing all these actors really young, like Ethan Hunt especially, this is before Tom Cruise fixed his teeth so that they're not in the. If you guys notice, his front teeth are in the center, like his one tooth's in the center, and he fixed his teeth. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but it's different. And also just seeing a bunch of other actors and actresses who are younger who I saw in Fallout. It's kind of cool. Kind of like the same thing with Iron Man. I saw, you see Tony Stark and all those people young. Well, in this one, you're seeing young Tom Cruise and all the rest of them.
Yeah, exactly. Tom Cruise looked so young. I was like, oh God.
Yeah,
I was completely different person because his hair.
Yeah, he did look like a different person. Yeah, I couldn't really recognize him at first.
Yeah, it's funny because I was looking at all the Mission Impossibles that have come out, and they have actually been increasing in budget and in box office money, made. And I'm actually surprised that they keep getting like better and better and bigger, and they keep making more money. It's pretty impressive.
So I wanted to talk about this. What did you guys think of the special effects in this one? Because they're all pretty much practical effects, I do believe.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was one CGI scene of the helicopter and the train, but
where he jumped forward,
that was
back onto the train. Yeah, that was the cheesiest
Already
part
at the end.
Yep.
Yeah, between all of them, this is definitely like the lowest budget movie. So that kind of like gives it a sort of charm to it, I think. But yeah, this all the effects are very old school, and you can definitely tell.
Yeah,
I was gonna say I think the practical effects were actually pretty good in this movie, and it's not like they like showed bullet wounds and stab wounds and stuff like that. It was just a red mark on their clothing and they were hunched over. But I think that's just as effective as seeing the CGI bullet splatter everywhere. I think it's just as effective.
The one thing, the old man makeup. I mean,
yes.
It still looked like Tom Cruise. Like you look at it and go, oh yeah, that's Tom Cruise.
That was the worst mask in the entirety of it. I think when he was in the train later, pretending to be the
Jon Voight.
I think that was actually him sitting there until he removed the face.
It was.
Yes,
so
yeah.
But that old man costume, like these guys are like professional
yeah, that's probably worse actually.
undercover
Because I looked
agents,
at
right?
movie over.
It's like that looks awful.
Yep.
Wait.
So, what'd you guys think of the mole hunt at the beginning of the movie? Did you guys see that coming? Because I personally, like I said, I haven't seen this movie yet. I kind of could see it coming towards the end of it, but towards the beginning, of course, I couldn't really tell.
Yeah, that's good too. Like, I kind of figured there'd be more because that was kind of the way these movies kind of like the Mission Impossible movies, like some of the earlier ones were kind of like more mole based than the other ones. But like from what I saw, like I think it was like Rogue Nation was one of them. It was kind of way more like someone who was an inside job, if I'm remembering it right. But like right in the movie, they kind of actually in the middle of the movie, I don't think they really like did deep into that until like after it was like where like he's actually interacting with some of the old characters though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, what did you guys think of the initial mole hunt? If that got I mean, I guess they all didn't die, but a lot of the agents died there.
I was honestly, I was surprised. I mean, my first time seeing it too. I didn't think all those agents were gonna die, especially the grandpa or Jim. Jim. I wasn't expecting him to die, and of course, towards the end, that kind of threw me off too, threw me in for a loop.
Well, I have seen this movie a few times, growing up, and it's actually been so long I couldn't remember who actually died and who was faking it. So I was like when Jack, the hacker guy, when he got dead, I was like, oh yeah, he's not dead. He comes back later. And then like halfway through the movie, wait, no, does he come back later? Did he actually die? I don't remember now. Like I knew Jim definitely was like the main mole, but that was all I remembered for sure.
And the way that the hacker guy died, that was I think that was the most gruesome death out of all of them. But also, what the heck were those things in the elevator?
Yeah, like were those supposed to like stop the elevator or something?
Yeah.
I mean, there were definitely like razor sharp things that came down as he was going up. So yeah, that was definitely not supposed to be there.
Well, I do also think he could have. I mean, he could have moved out of the way a little bit. I don't see why he had to look up and swallow a spike. I feel like he could have maybe laid down or rolled to the side or at least moved his head out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that thing was gonna stop.
Yeah, so wasn't he tied down somewhere? Couldn't he have just like rolled off the elevator and just like kind of dangled in the shaft?
He was tied down. I think he just was sitting on the elevator because he was doing the hacking for the elevator. I think, right?
Yeah, he was
just before he got,
and then
just
Jim
before he,
overrode. wrote it.
But just before he got on, though, he was like hanging off the wall.
I guess it all happened so fast for him. He didn't really have time to, properly react.
That's true.
I mean, he was fiddling around with his computer while the thing was going upwards, and it seemed like it took a good minute or so for him to...
Was it?
Yeah. Also,
he was just trying to stop the elevator. I think that was his main goal. Was to
let's go.
'Cause I don't think that elevator would have stopped either way. I think it would have just crushed him. So
I gotta say though, he is the kind of worst hacker because he really did not do anything to help them during that time. Like sure he got him down, but once they were down there, he was like, "Welp, you're screwed there. I can't do anything else."
I mean, he got the girl into the elevator, so he did something.
That was his main job, was to fool the fingerprint sensor.
Yeah, but other than that, he was kind of like, I'm kind of just like, why are you here? You're not very useful.
He did one of the most important things. If they had gotten stopped right there, then the whole thing would have been up. Yeah. Would have been FUBAR.
Out there, it's like, you've done your job, now die.
That's okay. So it's like the beginning of the Dark Knight, where the bad guys get killed off because they completed their job.
Yeah, that's where it is.
Well, if that's the logic, then the blonde-haired woman who got into the car would have died first before the elevator guy. Because her job was done literally from the first second. She's like, okay, I see him. He's walking around. It's like, all right.
All right, thanks for the info.
That's your job. Good job.
There you go. All right, leave.
Yeah. Can we talk about that car scene where the car blows up? I was so confused. I was like, wait a minute, who blew up the car? Because it showed, it just showed multiple people pressing the button. I was like, wait a minute, who's blowing up the car? Who was in the car? And who's alive?
That scene, what they were showing is Ethan's thoughts of he was thinking of different possibilities of what could have happened. So
true.
At the time, the audience doesn't even know which one is true.
Yeah.
And he's trying to figure out as he goes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I like that scene towards the middle when he's in. I think he was in a train station or something like that, and he was talking to Jim, who came back from the dead, of course. And I think it was really. I mean, it really showed how smart the character was to be able to piece those things together as he's telling him lies to his face. And I was like, okay, he's getting it now. Also,
I thought that scene was pretty well done. As Jim was explaining his side of the story, we saw Ethan's thoughts and what he thought. He definitely by that point knew that he was a traitor and that he was lying. I thought that the way they did the scene was pretty good.
Well, I think he also remembered what the agents had said to him, how he was the guy alive. That means he's the mole. Well, it's now Jim shows up and this other girl shows up, and it's using that same logic. It's okay, they seem kind of fishy to me now.
Plus, he also saw the Bible from the Drake Hotel where Jim had previously been.
Right, that's the point where he knew.
Yeah, that's when he
I think that was when he knew.
Although I'm wondering why Jim brought a Bible from a hotel.
Yeah. And also, why hiding a Bible?
He was hiding something inside the Bible, wasn't he?
No, it was just a Bible. Yeah. He was hiding the verse that he needed to contact Max.
Right, that's right.
In the actual place that it was made from happens to be on the front page area of the Bible, and he just now knows that.
Well, it's because the one guy knocked it off the table when they were arguing after they got the CD, which is was a pretty good scene, but I think anything that happened after that scene where they're rappelling in and doing the work on the computer, anything after that just kind of automatically fails in comparison, because that scene was so awesome. I think everything kind of came together so well, with the music kind of stopping, with the silence that they needed in the room, and I think it was a really good sound design on that part, and also really great cinematography. And I think it really shone. And I think, like I said, everything else after that didn't seem as awesome because that scene was just so well done, and everything came together so well.
Imagine the core strength Tom Cruise needed to prevent himself from hitting the ground. Oh my god! It made
also
me
the strength
cramp.
that Franz needed to keep him held in the freaking elevator shaft. Not the elevator shaft, or the air conditioner shaft.
They show him how he killed the rat, because I don't recall.
Yeah, he had a knife in his hand.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, for some reason, he picked the knife back up and then proceeded to drop it after taking the CD from Tom Cruise. So he's like, I got the rat, and he accidentally stabs him in the neck, like, oh.
Oh, dang. Whoops.
All right, so I guess now that we're on talking about this scene, you guys want to talk about your thoughts on this whole. This is like the most famous scene of the whole movie. It's been like parodied and replicated in like so many other movies.
Oh yeah, I mean, even me not seeing this movie, I didn't know that this scene was from this movie. I just have seen it. I thought it was from a different Mission Impossible, but it's from this one. And I also, while I was watching them climb up the air conditioner shaft with the metal handles, I was remembering that Mythbusters episode where they debunked that, and they were like, "There's no way that these things would have made hardly any sound, especially with the ones that they used."
Well, also, air conditioning vents are not that big.
Yeah,
That's right.
It was pretty cool. That like what I found was pretty cool was that it was a very intense scene because you knew you knew the stakes, but still it was very intense since they made it like extremely dramatic, and it like in all these Mission Impossible movies, something goes wrong in the plan, or like not too big wrong, but just something goes wrong. He's just almost dies, and you're like, oh, like you almost have a heart attack because of it.
Yeah, and talk about like the most dramatic drop of sweat ever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty cool to see, though.
Yeah, it was really cool. It's probably, like I said, probably the best scene in the movie, and then also it's one that's it's timeless. You see it in those, parody movies like the scary movies and stuff like that happen, and it's just it definitely still holds up to this day as well. Like I was saying, just with the aspects of the filmmaking, it holds up, and the practical effects and just everything going on in that situation, just it all holds up even to this day. Even though if I've seen Fallout, like you could easily input this scene into Fallout. I know it's the 90s that they made this movie, so maybe the technology's not the same, but you could still kind of believe that it was the same movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just like how the one guy was communicating through the headset. Like, wouldn't that trigger the alarm? Like, I thought it was like the simplest sound, but you could hear him talking through the headset. I don't know.
Well,
Maybe
I mean, that's how headphones work, is they project the sound directly into your ear, and you don't hear it. Someone can't hear our conversation going on if they were in this room, because I have a headset.
Well, that's actually not necessarily true, because, depending on if it's kind of loud, like you can probably hear some of it, but he was talking extremely quiet, so the sound wasn't loud enough for it to escape the headphones.
Yeah, there was a lot of leeway for that too. Like they were saying toast pretty loud. They were like toast, and it wasn't going off.
Did you guys find it weird how he was like hanging just a few inches off the ground for a little bit too long? Like, why didn't he just start pulling him up right away?
Yeah, I don't know.
You had to kill a rat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had to, skin the rat, cook it, put it in a sandwich, and then
Eat
he
it.
could lift him
Eat
back
it.
up. Yeah, eat it, use the bathroom, wash his hands, come back.
I
He
thought
was-
the
So just sit there for a while. I'll be back.
scene was very suspenseful. I thought because the way when he started pulling him up, they showed the rope, grinding against, the vent door, I guess you'd call it. I thought the rope was going to break, and I was like, oh, man, this is going to be bad.
Oh, yeah,
I thought
definitely.
it was going to lead to something else, but nope, it didn't break or anything.
Yeah, it was just making a little bit of noise, but in the end, I mean, everything pretty much went off without a hitch until the final seconds there.
Yeah.
How frustrated were you guys with that last final moment?
With the knife,
The knife
or...
drop.
Yeah, with the knife
Yeah.
drop.
Oh, man.
I was pretty frustrated. I was like, come on.
I mean,
He
that
got
was
the
pretty-
knife. Took him like 5 seconds. He was like, "What's the knife doing here?" He looks up, nothing there. He's like, turns on the computer and it's like, "Ah, fuck." It's like, now you say that? You have a knife here you didn't place.
Well, it's funny because this scene reminded me of the scene in Iron Man when the bald dude Obadiah is trying to, or he finds out that not Mary Jane, but Pepper was on his computer or on the computer downloading files. That's what that scene reminded me of. And actually, there was another scene in this movie that reminded me of The Sting, oddly enough, with parts of it, and you can kind of see where movies get, like how this movie has.
Betrayed him.
Well, yeah, it kind of has what's the word I'm looking for? I can't remember right now. Homage? Is that the one I'm looking for? It kinda,
Homage, yeah.
Yeah, it kind of has an homage to The Sting, and also Iron Man has a homage to this movie as well. I don't know if it's direct homage, but it still reminded me of those scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Yemmy, what if I told you that all the movies you guys have seen so far
Is all related to Citizen Kane.
all the same connected universe?
I don't know why the guy touched the knife. Maybe they didn't have the technology back then, but when the knife dropped, he could have done like a finger scan or something to figure out whose knife that was, and then they're like, oh, that's maybe I'm just too smart. I don't know.
Yeah, they have a fingerprint scan though right there to freaking open the door, but they don't use one for the knife.
I'm pretty sure they were all using gloves anyway, so fingerprints wouldn't have gotten on the knife.
Yeah, but
Like I didn't really look too smart, anyways.
Yeah.
Was anyone else frustrated / sad when they're like, send this guy to Alaska? It's like, he didn't do anything.
Yeah,
send him off to Alaska. He's clearly married. And
Yeah, that was messed up.
That was BS.
Mm-hmm.
The poor, he's credited as CIA Analyst 1.
One.
yeah, at least he's one.
Yeah.
We are number one.
How insane is it to get into that room in general? Just everything they have to go through every day. It's like, why is he even... Well, also, I was going to ask you guys, what's even his job? Like, what does he actually do? He, because the both times that we see him, he sits down at the computer, then immediately gets up. And then the rest of the time, he's sick, of course.
Yeah.
I think he just checks the data and make sure no one's trying to hack it or steal it.
Well, I mean, that computer itself is not connected to the internet, so someone has to put in all the information, right?
That's true.
He analyzes the data and the information and then gives it to the correct departments.
So
It
many.
seems very impractical to me.
No, that's what analyzers, I believe, do. Like actual analyzers.
Yeah, Yemmy does have a point though. He sits down, he gets up, and he's like, okay. He's
I logged
moving
in
on.
once. We're good.
Yeah.
Kalas, do you know if Tom Cruise actually learned how to do those sleight of hand movements from that one scene with the CD? Do you know if he actually learned that stuff, or if it was just more of a, I don't know,
Camera tricks.
camera trick? Yeah.
I believe so. Tom Cruise loves doing his own stunts, and I've actually been watching all of the special features that came with the movies, and he's actually really impressive. Like the one movie where he hangs up the side of a building, he actually is hanging up the side of the tallest building in the world, which is, it's crazy. And all the stuff he does is he does it himself, which is, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's definitely impressive.
It makes the movies more it's more memorable. Makes the movies look really good when the actual actual camera footage they use for the scenes instead of instead of them trying to get the wire out there so we can get the background and all that. And
Yeah, I mean, real life, him doing the actual stunts will always trump a green screen, background and all that kind of stuff. It also makes it more believable too, because you can actually see him straining to get up a wire, or you can actually see him working up a sweat doing these things, rather than them just not pepper spraying. They're just spraying water on his face.
yeah.
What do you guys think of the very first opening scene, right before the beginning credits?
With the drugging some Russian guy and getting information from him?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I thought that was a movie he was watching at first.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's how they had it set up, but that's how I thought it was. He was watching a movie, and then all of a sudden it was, Tom Cruise walks out and he's like, aha, mask.
Yeah.
But they never explained why they need that information.
I think it was just to set up the roles of the different characters and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's just a setup, to introduce the mission structure, or the team structure, I guess.
Yeah.
Not really story based, just showing it's hey, it's this movie is going like this.
Yeah, it's kind of like the after credits scenes from most Marvel movies. It's it's there. Sometimes it relates, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
And then when the credits start rolling, the introduction credits, the whole theme song plays.
Mm-hmm.
What bothers me about all of these movies is they always show clips from the movie itself. So it's like you're watching a trailer before you actually start watching the movie.
True.
You know, to be honest, I didn't even remember the clips that flashed by.
Me too.
But I do see how that could be like a kind of. I don't know if they would do any
Spoiling.
spoilers in it, but definitely it's an interesting way to do it. That's for sure.
I wonder if that's something that's probably something that carried over from the TV show.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
So-
that's probably it.
Yeah, so if people don't know, Mission Impossible is based off TV show or TV series from I think the 60s, maybe 70s, maybe both.
I think they're
I love that. Like I know it's like every movie they do, but I love the like fire, like burning through the road, like it's gonna like at the end of it, they show like explosion or some sort of thing. Like
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. That's definitely they took that from the introduction of the TV series.
Oh, really?
true.
Yeah,
And the other thing I want to mention about the TV series is they always focus on the team. Like every episode is about how the team works together and all that. And all the other rest of the movies also focus on the team, but for this one specifically, they focus a lot on Ethan, and it's not usually how the show used to be. Also, another fun fact: Jon Voight is one of the actors from the TV series.
Ah.
I didn't know Jon Voight was in the TV series.
Jon
Yeah,
Voight's in a lot of
joined
stuff.
by the same name, Jim Phelps, same character.
Oh, that's
really?
cool. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
that's
really cool.
Yeah, it's like a cool homage to the series.
It's kind of continuing the series too, I guess you would say.
Yeah. Pretty sure.
The only other thing I had written down was when they, let's see, I forget exactly when it happened, but the one girl, I think her name was Sarah or Claire, was laying on the floor and she was like kissing Ethan's hand. How fast does she get over the death of her husband? like I understand she's trying to, because she's undercover evil. She's trying to seduce him, but it's like even Ethan knew, like, yeah, this ain't right. This ain't right.
Yeah. Well, like even if because Ethan didn't necessarily suspect, like he was maybe a little suspicious, but they didn't know for sure if she was involved. But like on the one hand, he's like, oh, okay, she's hitting on me, but I know her husband's still alive, so that's weird.
Yeah, exactly.
The way I saw it is Ethan is kind of, in a way, in love with her, and he knew like maybe there was something going on, but I guess he didn't want to believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, how fast does Ethan get over the death of his girlfriend or whatever?
Yeah. He's like, she's dead. Oh no.
I
Sees
don't
to
think
oh, bye.
I didn't think they were actually dating. Like I thought that was just kind of their cover, was like them kissing and stuff. I don't think they actually were dating or anything.
Well, I mean, they were doing it outside of the mission, so that's why I was thinking that they were in cahoots, in cooties, if you want to.
No, they're just following the Black Widow's advice from Winter Soldier. No one's gonna pay attention to two people making out.
True.
Well, it's true. I mean, those two drunk people who were lackadaisically running around, Ethan didn't really notice them until they perked up. So
Yeah.
yeah.
As when they were like talking with the IMF, I liked that scene, but one thing bothered me is like they were planning on killing him, so why didn't they?
I don't think they were planning on killing him. I think they were just planning on getting him because they gave him that passport and stuff like that, and they were hoping that he was just gonna. And I think they were gonna try and get him before he gets on his airplane or something like that when he wasn't expecting it.
Why didn't you just get him then?
Well, they had a bunch of agents there. I think they were if he had said no to that, they would have grabbed him right there. But he had that gum, and then he killed all those fish and ran away.
Yeah.
I know, those poor fish.
I know that was so sad.
I was like, immediately, I was like, I can't get behind this Ethan Hunt guy. He's a fish killer.
Yeah. Do you guys love Luther? I loved Luther. I thought he
I
was
like
Luther
awesome.
was
Luther. Yeah,
great.
Luther's great.
Yeah, I'm so glad they brought him back for like so many of the other movies. Like I really like him.
Any other thoughts from you guys? Any other things you want to hit on?
Well, I feel like we need to talk about the very last action scene with the train and the helicopter.
Well, sure.
Absolutely.
I mean, how
How-
unbelievable is it that the helicopter can go inside of a train tunnel?
I'm like, that's got to be world's biggest train tunnel.
Yeah, exactly. Also,
Like-
and another train comes down too.
Yeah, I was like, okay,
So-
maybe there's enough room for a helicopter, but the second a train comes from the other direction, there would not be enough room.
Once the helicopter got hooked up onto the train, that helicopter would have been out of whack and would have been destroyed anyways, because I don't think a helicopter could keep up with that train. And it would have been very hard to control, especially with that wind currents.
Nick knows from experience.
Yes, absolutely. I played Battlefield too many times.
I used to be the chopper pilot during Battlefield Bad Company 2, and...
You remember those Modern Warfare missions where you had the co-op and the chopper gunner? No.
I thought the ending scene was the most unbelievable part of the movie, but it was still pretty fun. I didn't mind it.
Yeah, I didn't mind it either.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying too. Yeah, it was good, but also Ethan Hunt, he jumps, has this mid-air wind, but still remains to be in control when grabbing onto something.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure when Ethan would have flew back into that one dude, he would have probably broken something or probably not been on target. That was a risky move, but it was enjoyable though.
True.
And why did they stop the train? If I saw a big ball of fire moving at 100 miles per hour, I would not stop the train.
Yeah.
That is true.
Also, why would they try and stop the train with a helicopter following them in the first place? Wouldn't they just be keep going until we get out of the tunnel, then stop? But no, it's let's stop in the tunnel,
Yes, that's a very smart idea.
I mean, why would you stop at all? Because, there's probably another train coming behind you. Probably pretty just as fast,
Exactly.
But, you think they cleaned up that debris or closed down those railroad tracks? Or you think another train just kind of got derailed and crashed into it?
Nah, they probably closed everything down.
Yeah, they closed everything down, cleaned it all up, then they ran the fake news story, and that was all she wrote.
Quay's helicopter comes in, just destroys himself.
Last thing I remembered, I believe that guy with the long hair who was with Max, I believe he was one of the villains in Die Hard, if I don't remember correctly, which is pretty cool. I do like him, but he doesn't have many big roles.
Yeah.
Anything else, guys?
Nothing for me.
No? Callus?
Last thing I wanted to add, I thought that Brian De Palma did an excellent job with this movie, especially since he doesn't usually do action movies. He usually sticks to dramas and thrillers. He's the director that made Scarface. But
okay, yeah.
For this movie, I thought it was his first major action movie, I believe, and I thought he did an excellent job.
Does he do all the Mission Impossibles?
No, just the first one, I believe. The second one was I forgot the name.
It's the worst one, anyways.
Yeah, that's the worst one.
That'll be the next one that counts.
Can we skip that one?
Yeah.
3 is great. 3 is really good. Let's just go to that one.
Yeah, when I rewatched all of them, I skipped 2. I don't have no desire to rewatch that one.
Yeah, I've seen it once, and that was enough.
All right, well, I think we're ready to give our final thoughts and our out of 5 rating, and we'll start with the man of the hour, Callus.
Of course. Well, like I said earlier, I've loved this movie for most of my life, I guess, 20 years, and no matter how many times I rewatch it, I still have a really good time. I wouldn't say it's my favorite Mission Impossible, but I guess it's my favorite. I wouldn't say it's the best, but it is my favorite. And yeah, I always have fun with it. I think the action scenes are really well done. The drama, the tension scenes, they're all blend together really well. And I give it a 4.5.
Awesome.
All right.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm glad that went back and watched it, and now I'll probably watch through the rest of the Mission Impossible series when I have time. I really enjoy these movies because they... I say movies, but I've only seen Fallout in this one. But I really enjoy how there's not huge, big gunfights. There's not huge set pieces. It's all very contained, kind of small. I mean, the biggest thing from Fallout was the helicopter chase scene when they were grappling on the helicopter. And in this movie, the biggest thing was the train thing. And even then, it's still a pretty small, confined space that they're working with. And I think that really adds to the tension. I think it really adds to the action as well. Really enjoyable movie. Still stands the test of time, like we've said. Really like the sound design, and I mean, it has one of the best scenes in cinematic history inside of it, so that's another thing to point out there. So yeah, I'd agree with a 4.5.
Awesome.
So I thought it was a good movie. I really enjoyed it. The scene where they're going into the computer, I thought that was extremely suspenseful, and it had me just, wanting to go to the end because I was just like, oh, something's going to mess up, something's going to happen. I mean, something did, but I thought it was going to be a lot worse, like set the system off or something. But with the end, the only gripe is the ending with the helicopter. But I'd get through it. It was still enjoyable, and I still really enjoyed the movie. It was a bunch of twists, and it threw me out, caught me off guard, and I was really enjoyed it. I'll do a 4.5 as well.
I really enjoyed the movie. I've seen it several times growing up, and each time I watch it, I think because it's usually like 10 years apart between each viewing. Maybe not quite 10 years, but close. And I swear I learned something different, or take something different from it every time. I was like, oh, okay, I didn't get that when I was younger. Or, oh, okay. But overall, I really enjoyed it. It's a fun movie. But I'd give it a 4 out of 5.
I really enjoyed the movie. I thought the main scene they had when they're doing stuff with the computer, and them actually talking, showing how clever Tom Cruise was for that part. I really enjoyed the movie. I did think there could have been at least like 1 or 2 more scenes of them fighting, because it didn't seem like there was that many in that movie, which was contrary to the Fallout and the rest of the movies, because it had a lot more to them. But overall, I did really enjoy the movie, but I'll give it a 4 out of 5.
All right, it seems like we're mostly all on the same page.
Oh, unanimous scores.
All right, well, once again, big thanks to Kalas for suggesting
Yeah,
a movie.
Kalas, great suggestion.
Thank you so much for having me.
If you, the person listening to this, want to get us to listen to your movie and possibly come on the podcast yourself, leave a suggestion down in the comments below. Like I said last week, the next movie fan vote will be in like 2 months from now. So you have a lot of time to think. And like I said, Kalas' one, and the second movie that was there was Goodfellas. So that'll be on the top of the next list. And then if we have 3 different movies recommended between now and then, those movies will end up ahead of the other movies that were recommended. If we don't have other ones to fill those places, they will go into the next vote as well. But like I said, that's not until a long time away, so don't worry about that. Well, worry about it. Get your movie recommendation in, and then don't worry about, getting it to win until the time. Yeah, you guys understand. So I believe it is my turn to recommend a movie.
Yay.
And Mission Impossible 3.
The honor is
Back to the
mine. So, for my next recommendation, I wanted to do a movie that was a huge question mark in a series of movies that people equally love and equally meme and equally despise at points. The original trilogy of these movies, excellent trilogy. I mean, when I was a kid, I was quoting this movie all the time. I was buying up the merch, playing the video games. I've played a few of the video games on my channels. And you guys know I love this series of movies. But there's a 4th movie in this trilogy, which makes it a collection, I guess, which didn't... Like, when I watched it once when I was young, and I was like, I hate this. I don't know why they made this movie, and I moved on from it. But now, after all these years, it's been about 20 years since this movie came out. We're going to go back to it, we're going to watch it, and we're going to see what we all think about Shrek Forever After, which came out in 2010. It was directed by Mike Mitchell. Some of the lead actors and actresses, of course, people reprising their roles, like Mike Myers, Eddie Murphy, Cameron Diaz, Antonio Bandejas, right? Banderos. Also Craig Robinson and Walt Dorn, Cody Cameron, and Conrad Vernon, to name a few people. So the little thing about this one is, long settled into married life and fully domesticated, which is a weird thing to say, Shrek
Really is.
begins to long for the days when he felt like a real ogre. Duped into signing a contract with a devious Rumpelstiltskin, he finds himself in an alternate version of Far, Far Away, where ogres are hunted, Rumpelstiltskin rules, and he and Fiona have never met. Shrek must find a way out of the contract to restore his world and reclaim his true love. So yeah, the biggest reason that I'm suggesting this one is because, 1, I haven't seen it since 2010, and 2, it's a movie that I've said this a lot. I don't count it as canon because it's not numbered, and 2, I really hated it. But I do want to get back to it and watch it. So if you don't want to be spoiled for Shrek Forever After, and if you want to join in the conversation, make sure you watch it before the next episode. Where can you find it? YouTube, Amazon Prime, iTunes, Google Play, Vudu, and of course DVD and Blu-ray if you so desire. What do you guys think?
Well, I knew it when you started talking like, oh, it's gonna be Shrek. It's gonna be Shrek. It's gonna be. Then you said it came out 20 years ago.
Like...
Did Shrek 1 come out 20 years ago?
It won an Oscar. I know that.
Well, you said 20 years, so I got thrown off for saying, oh, maybe it's not Shrek, because...
Oh, I meant 10 years. Did I say 20?
You said 20.
I meant 10. I meant 10. I apologize. I threw you guys off.
Well, you did it on purpose, because I was like, oh, it's going to be Shrek. It's going to be Shrek. And then you're like, 20 years. I was like, maybe it's not Shrek.
I was Star Wars at first.
Yeah,
well,
me
actually,
too, honestly.
It was 20 years ago. 20 years ago it was 2001, so it's almost 20 years ago that Shrek 1 came out.
Oh, that's
Well, I mean, Lord of the Rings is 3 movies, and then The Hobbit is also 3 movies. And
Yeah, I thought it was
Wars,
going to be like a
Star Wars
Hobbit
is 3 movies plus 3 movies plus 3 movies.
yeah.
Indiana Jones.
I almost thought it was Indiana Jones for a second. I was like, oh, maybe it's Crystal Skull. That movie's garbage.
Well, I've watched that one enough when I was a kid to know that it's absolute garbage, so we don't need to revisit that one.
I'm going to suggest the next week.
All right, do it.
Do I need to see Shrek 3 before I see Shrek 4?
No,
No.
And I was going to mention this when we talked about it, but this movie doesn't really relate any whatsoever to the original trilogy. There's really no characters original trilogy besides from the main cast, like Puss in Boots, Shrek, Fiona, and Donkey, who show up in this one. So you don't have to watch Shrek 3, but if you want to, you can always do that. I have the whole collection.
But it has the number 4 in the title. So
It does not. Shrek does not have the number 4 in the title.
Shrek Forever After.
Oh, okay. Kalas, leave the call. Get out of here.
Wow, Yemmy been shown up.
All right, guys. Let's say our goodbyes. Thank you everyone for watching or listening on all the platforms. I am YemmytheFerret, and I've been here with
YemmytheWaffle.
Taymation.
Coco Gamer.
And Kalas.
And this has been another episode of Film Freakz with a Z, because we're